Counsel?
Your Honor, I've just about completed my examination. But I would request if we could approach the bench for just 1 second. I don't want to run afoul of the court.
All right. Discussion held off the record at sidebar. To the jury, all right. Knock it off. Laughter. Okay. Counsel, you may proceed.
All right. Mr. Kallman, I think I just have a couple questions left. I think where we were headed before the break was you told us the approximate year in which the case actually reached a settlement. And what I wanted to know was, after the settlement of the case, have you kept in contact with Jason over the years?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, has Mr. Cannon kept in contact with Jason over the years?
I believe so.
Now, with regard to the lawsuit that was contemplated against Mr. Jackson at the time, the basis of the nature of the representation of Jason Francia involved inappropriate sexual conduct against Jason by the defendant, Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross-examine?
Yes, please, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Kallman.
Good morning.
My name is Thomas Mesereau and I speak for Mr. Jackson.
Pleasure to meet you.
I want to ask you some questions about the settlement agreement you referred to in response to the prosecutor's questions, okay? First of all, you had separate settlement agreements for the mother, Blanca Francia, and the son, Jason Francia, correct?
I believe so. I can tell you, I have not reviewed this material and it's been 10 years, but I believe that was the case. Some of this I'm going to have to take your word for it.
Well, I can show you a copy if you need it.
I don't disbelieve that.
Okay. The settlement agreement with Blanca Francia was entered into approximately April 1, 1996, right?
I don't know.
Would it refresh your recollection if I show you a copy of the agreement?
Sure.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
That's what it says.
The settlement agreement with Jason Francia was entered into approximately June 1, 1998, right?
Don't know.
Would it refresh your recollection if I just show you a copy of it?
Sure.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
That's what it says.
Okay. Now, that would suggest, wouldn't it, that the mother had agreed to get money for herself before there was any agreement for Jason to get money in a settlement, right?
No, it was all part of one global settlement.
Then why would there be a 2-year difference between the execution of those settlement agreements?
Remember when I told the jury that a minor can't enter into a contract?
Yes.
Jason wouldn't have been able to sign before he was 18. My guess is that's probably when he turned 18, and that's what Mr. Weitzman and Maudeber wanted.
And then just for the jury's benefit, why would the mother sign in 96?
She was an adult. She could sign.
The point I'm making is that she had a separate settlement from her son.
Exactly. I mean, yes, she got money.
Yes. Okay. Now, the prosecutor asked you some questions about provisions in the settlement agreement, okay? And one of the issues that was carefully negotiated by the people representing Mr. Jackson was that he deny any wrongdoing in that agreement, right?
Again, the best evidence of that would be what's in the agreement. I don't remember what's in there.
Okay, well, let me, the prosecutor, read you a provision, asked you about it. Let me ask you about this. There was language in that agreement that said, the parties acknowledge that Jackson has elected to settle the claims solely in view of the potential impact any litigation could have in the future on his reputation, earnings and potential income, and not because of any alleged wrongful conduct on his part, right?
If you're asking me if that's in the document, I'll have to take your word for it. You don't need to show it to me. It sounds pretty standard to me.
The agreement further said, excuse me, let me rephrase that. Both agreements, the one involving Jason and the one involving Blanca, his mother, both had language which said, this agreement shall not, in any manner, be construed as an admission by Jackson that he has acted wrongfully with respect to Francia, Blanca, or any other person, or at all, or that Francia or Blanca have any rights whatsoever against Jackson or Jackson's releases. Sound familiar to you?
It sounds like standard language in virtually every release that I deal with. But, yes, it does sound familiar.
Actually, there's a whole separate paragraph entitled, Denial of Claims by Mr. Jackson, correct?
Don't know.
Would it refresh your recollection if I show you a copy?
It would.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
It does refresh my recollection.
Okay. And do you recall that language being in both agreements?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Okay. In addition to the language that I have read, there's further language which says, Jackson specifically disclaims any liability to, and denies any wrongful acts against, Francia, Blanca or any other person and may continue to do so publicly, to the extent reasonably necessary, to respond to any inquiries in this regard. Right?
Correct.
It said further, the parties acknowledge that Jackson is a public figure, and that his name, image and likeness have commercial value and are an important element of his earning capacity. Right?
That's true.
And that language was in both settlement agreements, the one involving Blanca Francia and the one involving Jason Francia, correct?
I don't remember that. I will take your word for it. You don't need to refresh my recollection. It sounds like it should be or would be.
Now, Mr. Kallman, provisions in which a settling party denies liability are fairly standard in settlement agreements, right?
True.
But the language that I just read to the jury is not standard language in a settlement agreement, is it?
This is not a standard case, or was not. And no, you're right. These were carefully drafted by a team of lawyers, and we agreed to the terms.
And the reason those terms are different is because Mr. Jackson is an unusual individual in terms of his need to preserve his reputation and public image so he can earn a living, right?
Calls for speculation on this. It wasn't drafted by him. No foundation.
I think it was drafted by this witness.
All right. I'll sustain a foundation.
Okay. When you settled these matters, and I'm talking about matters involving Michael Jackson, Blanca Francia, and Jason Francia, you put in language involving denial of claims by Mr. Jackson that was not standard language in a typical settlement agreement, right?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the question as lack of foundation. That he put the language in there.
Well, that was the foundation I was looking for. So I'll allow you to answer the question as long as you understand the limitations of your answer.
Well,
if you put the language in.
I didn't draft that agreement.
Okay.
Did lawyers from your office draft the agreement?
No.
Who drafted the agreement?
Somebody in Mr. Maudeber's office, the Catton, Muchin, Zavis and Weitzman firm in Century City.
Did you have any input into the language in the agreement?
Only to review it, and if there was language we found objectionable, we could strike it, I suppose.
Okay.
But they wanted that in there, and I didn't find it objectionable.
Okay. Now, you made a statement, I believe, in response to the prosecutor's questions, that if someone from law enforcement wanted to speak to your client, you had to first notify representatives of Mr. Jackson, true?
True.
That language is not in that agreement, is it?
I don't know.
Then why would you say it?
Because that's in one of the agreements, I have to give notice to the defense team. And I've given notice once to Mr. Sanger. And then when I got subpoenaed on Friday, I gave notice to Mr. Maudeber down in Los Angeles.
But the notice you're supposed to give to the defense team does not involve requests by law enforcement to speak to your client, does it?
I assume that anybody from law enforcement that wants to talk to my client, there was a requirement to notify somebody from the defense team.
Nowhere in those settlement agreements is there language to that effect, is there?
I have no idea.
Object as immaterial, irrelevant.
The prosecutor brought it up on direct, Your Honor.
The objection is overruled. And the answer came in as, I have no idea.
It would be against public policy for a civil litigator to put language in a settlement agreement precluding anyone from cooperating with law enforcement, wouldn't it?
In my opinion, yes.
Lawyers are not allowed to have language like that in settlement agreements, right?
Wrong.
Pardon me?
No, it's a notice requirement. It's not a preclusion requirement.
When did you last review the notice provisions in these agreements?
Probably in 1996 or 1997.
Well, let me ask you this question. Did you talk with Mr. Sneddon about what questions he was going to ask you before you testified today?
No, I mean, we talked, but it was very, very general and I don't think the conversation was more than 5 or 10 minutes long.
Okay. The notice provisions that you describe talk primarily about anyone who's suing Mr. Jackson or if he's contacted by the media, correct?
Not the notice provisions I'm thinking about. I think there's a specific provision, it may not be in that agreement. Maybe it's in another agreement, but there's a provision that I'm supposed to contact either Johnny Cochran or Zia Madaber or somebody on the defense team if there was a request to speak or interview my clients.
But never in the agreement did it refer to law enforcement, right?
That I don't remember. It's been a long time.
Okay. Now, you answered some questions about Terry Cannon.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, you're currently associated with Mr. Cannon, correct?
He is of counsel to my law firm.
When did he become of counsel to your law firm?
He's been of counsel twice. Once about 10 years ago, during this period, and then again just recently, within the last 2 months.
So he wasn't of counsel to your law firm in October, November and December of last year, right?
I don't believe so, but I can't be sure.
During October, November and December of last year, he was with the district attorney's office in San Diego, wasn't he?
Well, I know he recently retired from the San Diego DA's office. I don't know precisely when he retired, but you're right, it's been recent.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We'll call Blanca Francia to the stand.
Come to the front of the courtroom, please. When you get to the witness stand, remain standing. Face the clerk over here, and raise your right hand. Remain standing.
Remain standing.
Face the clerk here. Right over here.
Right over there, please.
Yes, I do.
Please be seated. State and spell your name for the record.
Blanca Francia. Blanca Francia.
Ma'am, you need to move over here, please.
Oh.
Would you like her to spell her name again?
Did the court reporter get the spelling?
Yes.
That's fine.
In unison. We didn't. Laughter.
Yes, please ask her to spell her name again.
Could you please spell your name again?
Blanca Francia.
Miss Francia, good morning.
Good morning.
Do you currently live in Santa Barbara County?
Yes.
Up in the North County area?
Uh-huh.
Are you the mother of Jason Francia?
Yes, I am.
What kind of work are you currently doing?
Caregiving.
All right. What we need to do, we have a problem here. And it's not just with you, a lot of witnesses. You have to be as close as you can get to the microphone so that you can be heard all the way to the back of the courtroom. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Are you the mother of Jason Francia?
Yes.
And what kind of work are you currently doing?
Caregiving.
I'm sorry?
Caregiving.
And what does that mean, a caregiver?
Taking care of elderly people. Disabled.
Do you have a couple clients who you work for?
Yes.
And are they disabled in some fashion?
Yes. I deal with one 6 years, almost 6 years, yeah.
Okay.
And another one just recently, about a couple of months.
And how long have you been doing this kind of work?
On and off, I've been doing it for about 15 years.
And prior to that, what kind of work did you do?
Housekeeping. House cleaning.
And for what period of time did you do that work?
Since I came to the country.
When did you come to the United States?
1975.
And from what country did you come from?
El Salvador.
You have been in this country continuously since 1975?
Yes.
Have you been back to El Salvador to visit at all?
A couple of times.
Your English. How did you learn English? Did you go to school?
No.
How did you learn English?
Reading, and listening to people, and that's.
How old were you when you came to this country?
About 21.
Okay. Do you know Mr. Jackson, Michael Jackson?
Yes.
Do you see him in this courtroom?
Yes.
Would you indicate where he is sitting, please?
He's sitting right there.
Your Honor, could the court record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant?
All right.
How do you know Mr. Jackson?
I work about 5 years.
When did you begin working for Mr. Jackson?
1986.
And where did you begin working for Mr. Jackson, at what location?
Havenhurst, Encino, California.
Havenhurst is the name of the street?
Yes.
And was there a house on that street?
Yes.
Where he lived? Alright. What were you doing for Mr. Jackson at the Havenhurst residence?
I was hired to be his personal housekeeper.
Were there other members of the Jackson family living at the Havenhurst residence?
Yes.
Can you tell us who they were?
At that time Janet and Latoya, and his father and mother.
Would you describe the Havenhurst residence for us, just briefly? A large home?
Their whole house? Yeah. He has his separate quarters in the house. But it was in the same house.
Okay. Was it a large home?
Yes.
And his quarters, were you responsible for just his quarters or did you clean in the whole house?
Well, yes, just his quarters. His place. But eventually when he will go out on tour, I will stay at the house and help the household.
You would clean the rest of the house as well?
Uh-huh.
Did Mr. Jackson ever have an additional residence other than the residence on Havenhurst?
After I was there for about a year, I think, or less than a year, he got another one. Like, kind of an apartment, suite. Called it, the Hideout.
Where was that? Do you know?
I know it's on Wilshire. And I don't know the other street.
And describe that location for us, if you would.
What do you mean?
Tell us what it was like, his apartment.
Oh.
Or his residence. How many rooms in it? Do you know? Do you recall?
3. It had a master bedroom, and 2 other rooms, bedrooms.
Did it have a living room?
Yes.
I assume a kitchen?
Kitchen, and another little room.
Okay. At least a couple bathrooms?
I don't remember.
You don't recall?
No.
How many bathrooms?
I don't remember.
It's okay. Do you recall for what period of time you cleaned that residence?
For about a year.
Was he living at that residence during that time, Mr. Jackson?
Yeah, he totally moved his.
I'm sorry?
He totally moved from Encino to that place. He moved his office to near that location.
Okay. Was there a bed at that residence?
No.
Never?
Never.
The whole time that you were cleaning there?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you go to a different location after the Hideout? Was there yet another residence?
Yeah, he was in process to get a ranch.
Okay.
In Los Olivos.
And was that Neverland?
Yeah.
Was that the ranch that he actually did purchase?
Uh-huh, yes.
Did he move to that ranch?
Eventually, yeah, but he was on and off. They sent me over here before he moved in. I mean.
I'm not sure I understood that. They sent me over here before he moved in. Who is they, first of all?
Well, they arrange, Mr. Jackson and Bill Bray and one of the secretaries.
Okay. Bill Bray was who?
His personal assistant, I guess.
Alright. And you said, they sent me here. Whereas, here?
Santa Maria.
Santa Maria. So did you actually move to Santa Maria?
Yeah, they pay me to move here.
And did you move with your child?
Yes.
Is Jason your only child?
My only son.
Did Jason grow up with his father at all?
No.
Has he had contact with his father at all?
No.
How old was Jason when you moved to Santa Maria?
I guess about 9.
About 9 years old?
8 or 9, yeah.
Okay. Did you continue working for Mr. Jackson after you moved to Santa Maria?
Excuse me?
Did you continuing to work for Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
After you moved to Santa Maria?
Yes.
And was that at Neverland?
Yes.
Alright. What were your responsibilities at Neverland? What did you do for Mr. Jackson?
To clean his room.
I'm sorry?
To clean his bedroom. And taking care of his clothes and his personal stuff.
Alright.
All his, you know, whatever he needed. And to clean up and arrange all his clothes, press them, iron them, and, you know, everything.
What was your schedule at Neverland? How often did you work there?
In the beginning, I think I was just, he was there, I will come, you know, and work for 3 days, whatever time he will stay there, and then, you know, not to be there for another 2 days. But eventually he moved to 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock.
5 days a week?
5 days a week. 6 days.
6 days? Did you ever work more than 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Your hours, times, would they vary different days?
Yeah. Christmas time and, whatever time they needed me, because he was there.
Were there occasions that you would work late?
Yes.
And you say 6 days a week. Was that common?
Was that what?
Was that a common event, that you would work 6 days a week?
Yeah.
Okay. During that time, did you ever bring Jason with you to work? And by this time, I'm referring to at Neverland.
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever bring Jason to work with you at the Havenhurst residence in Encino?
Yes, it was.
Did you ever bring Jason to work with you at the hideout on Wilshire Boulevard?
Yeah.
And why did you do that?
Well, the first time I didn't know that I was allowed to do it. But Mr. Jackson asked me to bring him.
You said the first time. Where was that?
At the Encino house.
At the Encino house?
Yeah.
Did he say why?
He just told me to bring him.
Okay. And did you bring him on occasion?
Yeah. From then on, he was there a lot of times.
Okay. How often would you bring him to the residence at Encino?
Probably every weekend. And probably twice a month. Then, differently. I don't remember.
Was that schedule more or less at the hideout? Did you bring him to the hideout as often? More often?
Uh-huh.
Less often? What?
Not a lot of times, because he was in school, so probably on Saturday or Sundays.
Did you continue cleaning at the hideout even after Mr. Jackson moved to Neverland in '88?
Yes.
How often?
Probably every week. Sometimes twice a week.
At Neverland, what were your specific responsibilities? What were your obligations? What did you do at Neverland?
Do you mean for him?
Yes, for Mr. Jackson. Yes.
Like I said, taking care of his clothes, his room.
Okay.
And right after he leave the room, I will have to clean it right away, because sometime he will stay there, he'll come out, and then he'll go back in right away.
Okay. Were your responsibilities beyond his room as well? In other words, did you clean the rest of the house?
Yes.
Did you ever clean other buildings at Neverland?
Yes.
The arcade?
The arcade, yeah.
The theater?
The theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most of the time, where did you work?
In the house.
Were there other maids at Neverland?
Yes.
There were other maids at Neverland.
Yes.
Yes, all right. At any given time, how many maids were working at Neverland at any given time?
Maybe about 6.
Were there others who had responsibility for cleaning Mr. Jackson's bedroom?
No.
You were the only one?
Yeah.
Did you have a key?
Yes.
Is that the only way you got in?
Yeah.
Was there a combination lock at any point?
No.
Not while you were there? Is that a key that you carried around with you?
Yes.
Okay. Would you just let yourself in?
Yes.
How would you announce your presence? How would you let Mr. Jackson know you were coming in, if, in fact, he was there?
I'll knock.
Uh-huh. Now, could you describe the suite that is his bedroom? It's actually more than one room, is that right?
Yeah, it's 2 rooms. One downstairs and one upstairs.
And is there a hallway that goes into it?
Closet.
I'm sorry?
A closet.
There's a closet. Okay.
Yeah.
When you go.
A walk-in closet.
When you go into his suite, do you go through a door that is locked?
No.
All right. Is there any way of securing his bedroom suite?
Well, his bedroom suite, with a key.
Yes.
That I would have.
Where is that door, the one that you unlock with the key that you carry?
In the hallway.
In the hallway?
Yeah.
So you unlock that door and you go through that door. And where do you find yourself at that point?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Where are you? As soon as you walk through that door, the door that you unlock, where are you at that point? Are you in a room or a hallway?
In the bedroom.
In the bedroom, all right.
Uh-huh.
Was there at that time some kind of an alarm or a bell?
Yeah, that's before you get to the door.
Before you get to the door?
Yeah, that's in the hallway.
All right. And you would announce your presence when you came in?
Yeah.
Were there ever occasions that you would announce your presence and Mr. Jackson would be in the room?
Yeah.
Were there ever occasions where you would announce your presence and he wasn't there?
Yeah.
Did you try to go to his room when he wasn't there to clean?
When he was there. When he wasn't.
Yeah. What did you try to do? What was your preference? To clean while he was there, or to clean while he wasn't there?
Oh, well, sometimes he'll be there and I'll be cleaning.
Uh-huh.
It didn't matter.
Okay. Where was his bed, incidentally, at that time? Where did he sleep?
As soon as you came into the bedroom, that's his bed.
So his bed was downstairs?
Yes.
Was there another bed upstairs?
Yes.
Which bed did he sleep in?
Downstairs.
And you would make?
Most of the.
And you would make that bed, is that right?
Yes.
All right. Did he ever have visitors over at his home?
Yeah.
Visitors who stayed?
Excuse me?
Visitors who stayed for periods of time.
Yes.
Did you know a person by the name of Wade Robson?
Yeah.
Who was Wade Robson?
He was a young kid, a young little boy.
How old was Wade Robson when you first met him?
Probably 8, 7 or 8.
Do you know where Mr. Robson, an 8-year-old, where Wade Robson came from?
Yes. From a different country. I mean, from another country. Switzer.
Do you know which country?
No, I don't remember.
But you recall that it was from a different country?
Yeah.
Was it an English-speaking country or a country with a different language?
Different language.
Did you ever talk to Wade Robson?
A little bit.
Was he there with family?
With his mother.
Do you remember?
I think he has a little sister. I don't remember.
All right. Did Wade Robson?
Objection. The prosecutor didn't let the witness finish.
I'm sorry, I thought she had. Please go ahead, if you hadn't finished that answer.
Excuse me?
I think you said he has a little sister?
Yeah, I don't remember, tell you the truth.
Do you have a recollection of a sister?
I don't remember, tell you the truth.
Do you remember his mother?
His mother, yeah.
Where did she stay when they were there?
In the guest house outside. They call them the guest quarters.
The guest quarters?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember if Wade Robson's father was there?
No.
Where did Wade Robson stay?
In Mr. Jackson's room.
All right. In the bedroom?
Yeah.
For what period of time was Wade Robson visiting Mr. Jackson?
Weeks.
Weeks?
Yeah.
When he would come, would he stay? What's the longest that he would stay at any one time?
Objection. Foundation.
Sustained.
Well, let me ask a couple preliminary questions. You've already told us that you cleaned Mr. Jackson's room.
Yes.
Were you the only one who cleaned Mr. Jackson's room?
Yes.
Did you go into Mr. Jackson's room daily, every single day, when you were working?
Yes.
Were you working at that period of time, as you said, at least 5 and sometimes 6 days a week?
Yeah.
Would you be the first one in his room in the morning?
Yes.
Would you have to fix his bed?
There were times when nobody knew that he was going to be there, and they call me at home, telling me, he's here, and so you have to come and clean up.
Did you see Wade Robson there?
Yeah.
All right. Did you see him there for days at a time?
Yeah. Yes.
Did you see where he was staying?
Yes.
Okay. Where was he staying?
In Mr. Jackson's room.
All right. Did you see Wade Robson's belongings?
Yeah.
What kind of belongings did he have?
He had clothes, little suitcase, kid's suitcase, and his clothes in there.
All right. Would you wash Michael Jackson's clothing as part of your job?
Yeah.
Did you wash Wade Robson's clothing?
As well, yes.
Always?
Yes.
Whenever he was there?
Yes. I find them on the floor, so I'll wash them.
And his clothing was found on the floor in where?
Different places.
Whose room?
Mr. Jackson's room.
Alright. Would you find Mr. Jackson's clothing there as well?
Yes.
And that was your responsibility, your job, to simply gather up the clothing and launder it?
Yeah. Yes.
And then return it to his room?
Uh-huh.
Objection. Leading. Move to strike.
It's leading. Sustained. Stricken.
Was there a place where you kept Wade Robson's clothing after you laundered it?
No, I put them together with his clothes and in his case, his little suitcase.
Now, tell us how often Wade Robson came to visit. I have 2 questions and we'll do one at a time. Let me tell you both of them. How often he came, and how long he stayed each time he came. So let's start with the first one. How often did he come, Wade Robson?
Objection. Foundation.
Overruled. You may answer.
How often did he come?
How often did he come to Neverland to visit Mr. Jackson?
Vague as to time. Objection.
Sustained.
Well, tell me when he first came. You said he was 8 years old. Do you remember what year that was? Excuse me.
Probably.
I'm sorry.
99.
99 or 89?
89, I mean.
You quit working there when?
In 91, I think. 91.
91. Alright, so you think it might have been in 1989 that Mr. Robson visited?
89.
Young Wade Robson?
Yeah.
And were you the one who was working for Mr. Jackson exclusively in his bedroom during that time?
Yes. One occasion I left and somebody else got in charge. The manager.
Uh-huh.
Got in charge of cleaning, when I left for vacation.
And for how long was that?
Probably about 2 weeks.
Alright, but for the rest of the time, you were there cleaning?
Yes.
And during that period of time when Wade Robson was there, were you able to see him?
Yes.
Were you able to do his laundry?
Yes.
Were you able to see him daily? Did you ever actually see him in Mr. Jackson's bedroom?
Yes.
Daily?
Nods head up and down.
Daily?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you said that he first came, you think, in 1999?
Uh-huh, yes.
How many separate times? When was the last time he came? In other words, how long after the first visit was the final visit, to your knowledge?
I don't remember. It was, I guess, about a year, less than a year before I left.
So were the visits, then, over a period of time of 1 year?
Yeah.
Do you know how many separate times he came during that 1-year period to visit?
He'll be there for weeks, and then he'll leave and come back after 2 weeks.
And stay for how long?
For another week.
Did he generally stay for at least a week?
Yes.
Mr. Wade Robson was there for quite some time?
Yes.
Alright. And during that time, are you aware of him staying any place other than Michael Jackson's bedroom?
No. He'll stay there as far as I know.
Now, your obligation, of course, was not just to clean up, but to do the linens?
Yes.
The sheets off the beds, is that right?
Change.
You said that there were 2 beds.
Uh-huh, yeah.
At least? Were there more than 2 beds in his suite or just 2?
No, just 2.
Did you make the beds every single day?
Yes.
During the time that Wade Robson was there, how many beds did you make? 1 or more than 1?
Just that one.
The one that was Mr. Jackson's bed?
Yeah. The one upstairs was rarely used.
All of the visits when Wade Robson came, was his mother there for all of the visits?
Sometimes.
Were there some times that she was not there?
Yes.
But Wade Robson came by himself?
Yeah.
Do you know how?
Mr. Jackson will bring him.
He would bring him?
Yeah.
And during that entire year of visits, did you ever see Wade Robson's father?
That I don't remember.
You don't have a picture of him in your mind?
No.
Objection. Leading. Move to strike.
Sustained. It's stricken.
Do you have a picture of him in your mind?
Of the little boy?
Objection. Asked and answered.
The objection is overruled. But she's asked for clarification.
Let me change the question, if I can. I'll withdraw the question.
All right.
Can you describe Wade Robson's father to us?
No.
And I think that you said that there might have been a sister. Do you recall a sister?
I don't remember. So many kids there, I don't remember.
Okay. Was there ever an occasion, to your recollection, where any other child stayed with Mr. Jackson in his room while Wade Robson was there?
No.
Only Wade Robson?
Yes.
All right. Was there ever an occasion where you walked into his room and you saw some kind of a separate sleeping arrangement? What you believe to be a separate sleeping arrangement for Wade Robson?
Objection. Vague. Leading. Foundation.
All sustained vague.
Did you ever see a sleeping bag on the floor?
No.
Did you ever see anything that causes you to believe that Wade Robson was sleeping someplace other than in Michael Jackson's bed?
No.
Was there an occasion that you went into Michael Jackson's room and came upon Michael Jackson and Wade Robson?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Did I what?
Come into Michael Jackson's room and discover that Michael Jackson was there with Wade Robson.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there an occasion when you went in and they were in the shower?
Objection. Leading.
Sustained.
Did you ever come in and find them in a situation that made you uncomfortable?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
Do you understand what I'm asking?
That I was what?
Where you were uncomfortable. You found them and you were uncomfortable.
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Well, I came one time and, in the bedroom.
Uh-huh.
And first I thought they were playing.
Objection.
And.
Non-responsive.
Sustained.
All right. The question was, yes, or, no.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us what you heard when you first walked into the room.
Laughing.
Okay.
And playing, like playing around.
Okay. What did you do?
I came in, and first I thought that they were playing in the bathtub, jacuzzi, and I didn't see them. And then I thought they were outside, playing outside the house, in his garden. And I walked and they were in the shower.
You have to explain to us a little bit the layout here.
Uh-huh.
Is there a jacuzzi inside his house, inside his bedroom?
Inside his bedroom, yeah.
So explain that for us. Describe to us what you get to first. The shower? The jacuzzi? Explain how it's laid out.
First, you get to the bed. And then you get in the bathroom, they call it the ladies' bathroom, and there's a big jacuzzi there.
Okay. Was there a door that goes to that bathroom?
Yeah.
Was the door open or was the door closed?
No, the door is open. It was open.
And what did you look into that door?
Which door?
The door that goes to the bathroom.
Well, I have to go through there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean, you have to go through there?
To get to the bathroom.
And did you do that?
Yeah.
What did you see?
And then I was going to walk outside to the garden, but then.
Okay.
On my way going, I peek, and it was in the shower.
And what did you see?
And I hear this playing around. That's where he was taking a shower, I guess.
Okay.
With little Wade.
What did you see? Tell me what you saw.
What I saw, just some clothes on the floor.
You saw clothes on the floor in the bathroom or in the bedroom?
No, in the shower. By the shower.
By the shower. What clothing did you see on the floor?
Underwear.
Underwear?
Nods head up and down.
More than one pair?
Yeah.
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. Next question.
How many pair did you see?
2.
2 pair of underwear?
Yeah.
Did you recognize the underwear?
Yeah.
And how did you happen to recognize the underwear?
The Mr. Jacksons, I knew they were white. And the little boy, they were colored.
All right.
They were little underwear.
Can you describe the little boy's underwear?
They were little green underwear.
Green underwear?
Uh-huh. Had like a neon color.
Neon green?
Yeah.
Just in case he lost them? You did his underwear previously, didn't you? You had washed his underwear previously?
Uh-huh.
Did you know Wade Robson's underwear?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have little, characters, like Spider-Man and things like that.
Child's?
Child's.
A small child's underwear?
Yeah.
And Mr. Jackson's underwear you washed regularly as well?
Yeah.
And his underwear was what type?
I don't know. I think they call them briefs.
And what color?
White.
Okay. You say you found 2 pair. Where were they?
On the floor.
Okay. And on the floor in the bathroom?
Yeah.
Now, how far is the underwear from either the jacuzzi or the shower?
Well, they were right by the door, by the shower.
Okay. Was water running?
Yeah.
Excuse me. And the water was running in the shower?
Yes.
Did you know that the water was running when you first came into his bedroom suite?
Well, I heard the radio, and then eventually I hear the water going.
I'm sorry, I heard the first part.
The radio. I heard the radio.
You heard the radio?
Yeah, playing. And then eventually I hear the water going.
And then you heard the water?
Yeah, because I hear 2 people, playing.
And you say you heard 2 people playing. What were the sounds that you heard?
Objection. Asked and answered.
Sustained.
Did you hear 2 voices?
Yeah.
Objection. Asked and answered.
Leading. Sustained.
For what period of time did you hear sounds?
Maybe about a minute.
Did you recognize the voices that you heard?
Yeah.
Whose voices were they?
Mr. Jackson.
Did you recognize the second voice?
Yeah.
Whose voice was that?
The little kid,
Wade?
Wade's little boy.
When you finally reached a spot where you could see in, was your vision obscured by anything?
Objection. Leading. Assumes facts not in evidence.
Withdraw the evidence, withdraw the question. In that bathroom, is there a shower curtain?
No.
What is there in that bathroom?
A glass door.
A glass door. Is it a glass door that is fogged or is it a glass door that is clear?
It's clear, but at that time it was smoky.
Okay. Smoky?
Cloudy.
Cloudy? From the shower?
Yeah.
Alright. When there's no shower going, can you see through the glass?
Yeah.
On this occasion when the shower was going, could you see through the glass?
No.
Could you see any figure at all? What could you see?
Asked and answered.
I saw a figure.
Hold on.
Just a minute. The objection is overruled. I saw a figure, is the answer. Go ahead.
Did you see more than one figure?
Yeah.
Alright. Did you recognize either of the figures that you saw?
Mr. Jackson.
Alright.
And the little kid.
Was one figure larger than the other?
Yeah.
Was the second figure the size of Wade Robson?
Yeah. Yes.
What did you do at that point?
That he was going to get mad, or...
Objection. Non-responsive.
Sustained.
Move to strike.
What did you do at the time that you saw Mr. Jackson and Wade Robson in the shower? What did you do then?
I was going to talk to them, but then I thought, no, I better not, so I just went back.
Did you leave the room?
I left the room.
Did you tell Mr. Jackson that you had been in the room?
No.
Did you back into the room at a later time?
Yeah, to clean the room.
Miss Francia, was there ever an occasion where you saw your son Jason with Mr. Jackson and you were concerned?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Go ahead.
I was concerned for my son, yes.
Can you tell us when that happened?
The first time, I think it was in Encino.
Okay.
That I remember that I walked in, because I had the key to that room, too.
Objection. Non-responsive. Move to strike.
And I walked in.
Wait. Just a moment, please. All right. No question was pending, so I'll strike her answer.
All right. It was in Encino. Do you remember when that was?
Do you mean the date?
Or the year?
Probably, 86. I don't remember.
Okay. How old was Jason?
Probably about 7 or 8, probably. 7.
7. And what did you see that concerned you?
Well, I saw little things before that with other kids, and
Objection. Non-responsive.
Just tell us what you saw.
Sustained.
Just tell us what you saw with Jason.
well, he was sitting on his lap.
Okay. And what concerned you?
And I walked in, and he was sitting on his lap, and Mr. Jackson was just reclining to the back.
Reclining?
Reclining to the back.
Okay.
And having my son in his lap.
And where was Jason positioned on his lap?
His legs.
Okay. And what did you do?
I just told my son to get out. And he was. I remember he say, "No, I'm fine."
Objection. Non-responsive. Move to strike.
You told your son to get out?
Just a moment. Stricken.
You told your son to get out?
Yeah.
Did he do so?
No.
What did you do then?
I think I push him, and, oh, he was, some kind of, reading a book or coloring. And Mr. Jackson say, I want him to read, or, I'm reading a story, something like that.
Did you take your son off of his lap?
Yeah, yes.
Was there another occasion that you were concerned?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
You can answer.
Yeah, I remember one time, too, at the Encino house that I want my son to stay downstairs, because he will come in, Mr. Jackson will come in, you know, probably wanted to be by himself, and I said, you stay here, and I.
You said that to who?
To my son, you know, to, stay here, because Michael is here, and, you know, he probably want to be by himself. And then he find out. I guess Mr. Jackson find out that my son was there, and so he took him upstairs. And I got mad, because I told my son not to go with him, but I got concerned because my son.
Objection. Non-responsive. Move to strike.
I'll strike the last sentence.
Did you go look for your son?
No.
When did you next see your son?
What do you mean?
On that day, on that occasion.
Oh, well, I did my cleaning, or whatever I was doing, and after, he came down.
Okay. Let me ask you about the hideout. At the hideout, you had mentioned that there wasn't a bed. What did Mr. Jackson sleep in?
He sleeps in a sleeping bag.
Alright. The whole time that he was at the hideout?
Yeah, there was no bed.
I'm sorry?
There was no bed there.
Was there ever an occasion that you and your son stayed the night at the hideout?
No.
You always left at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And did you have an apartment that was someplace in Los Angeles at that time?
He?
You.
Oh, yeah, I did.
So during the time that you were going to the hideout regularly?
Yeah.
You had an apartment. And I think that you had testified that even after you moved to Santa Maria, there were still occasions that you went back to clean at the hideout?
Many times, yeah.
Do you know for approximately how long after you moved to Santa Maria?
Probably a year.
Okay. Now, what did he? I asked you what he slept on, and you said a sleeping bag. Describe the sleeping bag for us. What kind of a sleeping bag was it?
A regular sleeping bag that you sleep on.
Sleeping bag for one person? For two people? How big?
A regular one.
Just a regular sleeping bag?
Yeah.
Was that sleeping bag always open, or was it rolled up?
It was open.
Always?
Well, when I made it, I would try to make it like a bed, you know.
Were there any blankets on the sleeping bag or under the sleeping bag?
Yeah, there were blankets.
Which? On the sleeping bag or?
On the sleeping bag, yes.
Was the sleeping bag simply on the floor?
Yeah.
Was there carpet on the floor?
Yes.
Did you ever see Jason on or in the sleeping bag?
One time.
Was Mr. Jackson there?
Yes.
Were they on the sleeping bag or were they in the sleeping bag?
They were on the sleeping bag, yeah.
On top of the sleeping bag?
Yeah.
Could you see their bodies, both of them?
Not Mr. Jackson's.
Why not?
Because it was covered.
Okay, so the sleeping bag covered Mr. Jackson?
Yeah.
How about Jason? Where was Jason?
He was in the sleeping bag, too.
He was in the sleeping bag. How were they positioned relative to each other? Do you know what I mean? Were they facing each other? Were they facing away from each other? Do you recall?
I remember this time he was on this side, and my son was on this side. And I got there about 3 or 4 times, and one time my son was.
Objection. Non-responsive.
It's kind of hard to tell. Maybe you could start with another question.
Yes, I can. I asked you initially how they were positioned. In other words, were they facing each other? Were they facing away from each other? Do you recall? When you saw them the first time?
The first time, my son was just laying there.
Okay.
But on one time, because I was cooking for Mr. Jackson, I was doing some lunch, or snacks, or something.
I'm sorry?
I was cooking some snacks.
Snacks. Okay.
Popcorn.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Are we still talking about the same event, the same day?
Yes.
Okay. So when?
When
you first saw your son in the sleeping bag with Mr. Jackson, did you say anything to your son at all when you first saw him in the sleeping bag?
I told him to come outside, and eat, because I wanted to feed him.
Okay. And did he?
No.
Alright. What did you do?
He say, I want to stay here.
Okay. What did you do?
And, well, I got mad. And I said, you got to get out to the kitchen, and he didn't wanted to.
Alright. Were you speaking with him in English or in Spanish at that time? Do you recall?
No, I don't remember.
Do you know what language do you speak with your son now?
Spanish.
You speak Spanish?
Yeah.
You've always spoke Spanish with him?
Yeah.
His wife does or does not speak Spanish?
No.
In her presence, what do you speak?
English.
Okay. But he grew up speaking Spanish?
Yes.
And he's very fluent in Spanish?
Yes.
When you asked him to come out to go eat, in what language was that?
I think I said it in Spanish. But then I want Mr. Jackson to understand what I was telling him to do, and so I guess I said it in Spanish and English. I don't remember.
So you're not certain at this point?
No.
Alright. Did he get out of the sleeping bag?
No.
What did you then do? Did you leave the room or?
I left the room and I proceed to do my stuff and.
Okay. And what happened then?
Then I went back and then he was eating, but I took something to eat to him.
Okay. When you came back out, was he still in the sleeping bag with Mr. Jackson?
Yeah.
What were they doing in the sleeping bag? I don't mean in the sleeping bag, but what were they doing in the room?
They were watching TV.
Objection. Foundation.
A time frame?
Yes.
Sustained.
At the time that you first came into that room, was the television on?
On, yes.
Do you remember approximately what time of the day it was?
Probably was about 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Was the room light or was the room dark?
It was dark. It gets really dark.
But this was about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Were there shades on the windows?
Draperies, curtains.
Draperies. And were they drawn? Were they closed?
Closed.
So the light was not in?
No.
Do you remember what they were watching on television?
No.
Do you know what Jason used to like to watch at that time?
Objection. Relevance.
At that time.
I'll withdraw the question.
All right.
How old was Jason, to your recollection, at that time, as best you can recall?
Probably like 8. Probably 8. That was.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Before we moved here to before he moved here to Neverland.
It was before he moved to Neverland?
Yeah.
And Jason was born on, if I'm not mistaken, May 30th, 1980?
Yes.
Is that his birth date?
Yes.
When you moved to Neverland in 1988, he would have been about 8 years old.
Yeah.
And you believe this was before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you know if Mr. Jackson ever gave Jason money?
Yeah.
Do you know on how many occasions?
That I remember, because it was, to me, it was a lot of money for a little kid. At the hideout he gave him some money.
Do you know how much money he gave him?
From what I remember, it was $200 bills.
2 $100 bills?
2 $100 bills, yes.
When did you first see that money?
After, what happened was that I left the key at his apartment. And we were walking to take the bus home, back home. My car key, I left it there. And we were going to walk to the bus stop.
Okay. Were you taking the bus back and forth?
No, I was driving. But I left the key, my car key there, and I didn't want to go back and knock at the door, because...
You didn't have your key?
Yeah, Mr. Jackson wouldn't open the door.
Okay.
So I remember we were walking to the bus stop, and he say, my son told me he has money.
Objection.
In his pocket.
Non-responsive.
Just a moment. True. There's no question pending. It's non-responsive.
All right. Where were you when you first saw the money?
At the bus stop.
Okay. Did he give you the money, your son?
No.
All right. How did you see the money?
Well, he say he had lots of money and that it was a secret.
Okay. What did you say?
And I say, what do you mean, a secret? How much money? But I thought it was maybe $2.
Objection. Hearsay.
Spontaneous declaration, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow the answer to the question of, what did you say? Which I think is the objection you were making.
Has to do with third-party statements, Your Honor.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to ask you to rephrase the question. The question you last asked where the objection came was, and what did you say? And she did say what she said. But then she was going to say something else.
Yes. Thank you. What did your son say to you in response to your statement?
Objection. Hearsay.
That's a spontaneous declaration.
Okay.
That's what I originally meant.
I will allow it on that basis.
Thank you, Your Honor. What did your son say?
That he has the money, that it was a secret, he wasn't going to tell me.
Okay.
But at this point I thought it was maybe $2 or $1.
Did you ask to see it?
And I say, I want to see it. And he say, no, because Michael told me that it's for me and not to tell you. But like I say, I thought it was $2. I say, how much is it? And I pull it out of his pocket.
It was in his pocket?
It was in his pocket. He said he put.
Do you remember what he was wearing?
Pants.
You believe it was pants?
Yeah, he says, he put it in my pocket. Don't take it out. So I pull it out, and I said, $200?
Objection. Non-responsive.
Sustained.
Did you reach into his pocket?
Yeah.
Did you retrieve it?
Yeah.
What was it?
It was 2 $100 bills.
Were there ever other occasions that you were aware of where Mr. Jackson gave your son money?
No.
Was that the only occasion that you recall?
Objection. Asked and answered.
Sustained.
Did you ever see your son with money on other occasions?
I'll give him allowances. And, he'll keep it. $1 or $2.
Do you know who Macaulay Culkin is?
Yes.
Who is Macaulay Culkin?
The little kid from the movies.
Yes. Did you ever see Macaulay Culkin?
Yes.
Personally? Where did you see him?
At the Neverland. At the ranch.
Did he visit Neverland?
Yes.
How often did he visit Neverland?
I don't remember, but it was a few times when I was there.
More than once?
Yes.
Over what period of time, from the first time to the last time?
Probably 6 months.
Were you working that entire time?
Yes.
Were you working in the same job you've already described for us, as Mr. Jackson's personal maid?
Yes.
Were you cleaning his room?
Uh-huh, yes.
And doing his laundry?
Yes.
When Mr. Culkin came, well, it was Macaulay Culkin. How old was he when you first saw him, approximately?
I think about 8 or 9. Probably 8.
Was this before or after Wade Robson was visiting?
After.
Did they ever visit at the same time?
No, not that I can remember.
Did Wade Robson continue to visit during the time that Macaulay Culkin was coming?
I don't remember.
Do you know where Macaulay Culkin stayed when he came to Neverland?
With Mr. Jackson.
Did Macaulay Culkin come with any other family members that you recall?
Yeah, I remember him with his father and mother.
Father and mother?
And the other kids.
Other.
Brothers and sisters.
Other siblings?
Yes.
Do you know how many siblings he had, whether they were boys or girls?
No, I don't remember.
Do you know if it was more than one other sibling?
Yeah, more than one.
Did he have at least one brother and one sister at least?
Yes.
Do you know the total number of brothers and sisters?
No, probably 5. I don't remember.
I asked you where Macaulay Culkin stayed, and you said with Mr. Jackson. How do you know that?
Because I'll go to his bedroom and clean up after.
Did you ever see Macaulay Culkin in Mr. Jackson's bedroom?
Yes.
Were his possessions there in the bedroom?
Yeah, I don't remember.
That you don't recall?
No.
Do you recall if you ever washed his clothing as you did Wade Robson's?
Yeah.
Would you have washed his clothing if his clothing was someplace other than his bedroom?
Objection. Calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Was it your responsibility to wash clothing from rooms other than Mr. Jackson's bedroom?
No.
If guests did not stay with Mr. Jackson, where would they have stayed?
In the guest rooms. They call them the outside guest rooms. You know, they're like four guest rooms outside.
Could I have those photographs, please? Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, did you say something?
I'm going to object as cumulative.
Oh, okay, all right. And I think that you said it was for a number of months that Macaulay Culkin stayed?
Yeah, weeks.
I don't mean continuously. But what do you think was the longest period that you ever saw him there during that few-month period of time?
About a week.
Okay. Do you know if he always came with his family?
Not always.
How else did he come?
How often?
How else, if he was not with his family? Was he with other people?
No.
Did he come by himself?
Yes.
Do you have a recollection of how many times Macaulay Culkin came to visit Neverland by himself?
Maybe I remember about 2 times.
All right. How old was Jason during the time that Macaulay Culkin was there?
At that time he was probably already 10.
Jason was older than Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah.
About how much older?
Probably a year or 2. I don't know.
During the time that Macaulay Culkin stayed in Mr. Jackson's bedroom, do you know if other members of his family also stayed in the bedroom with them?
Yeah, I think they did.
On every occasion?
Not all the time.
Are you aware?
When?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
When he was by himself, he was there by himself with Mr. Jackson.
Do you know of any occasions when Macaulay Culkin came to visit when he did not stay in Mr. Jackson's room?
No.
And on those occasions when Macaulay Culkin stayed in Mr. Jackson's room, do you know if there was ever a separate sleeping arrangement, in other words, a separate bed or a separate sleeping bag that you would have to clean up?
No.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Why did you leave Neverland, your employment at Neverland?
Objection. Relevance.
Sustained.
Did you leave your employment at Neverland?
Yes.
Okay. Did you leave of your own volition?
Yes.
Do you remember when it was you left Neverland?
May, I think.
Of what year?
91. 91, I think.
May of 91?
91.
All right. So you would have been employed by Mr. Jackson for a period of about 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
Now, May of 91 your son would be turning 11, is that right?
Yes.
Do you know if you left before his 11th birthday?
Uh-huh, about.
Did your son have any more association with Michael Jackson after you?
After?
Yes, after you left.
No.
Did you ever go back to Neverland after you left?
No.
Did you ever visit with Mr. Jackson after you left?
No.
Were you contacted by law enforcement at some time after you left Neverland, your employment at Neverland, for an interview?
Yeah. 1994 or 93. I don't remember.
93 or 94. So it was already some time after you left Neverland, is that right?
Yes.
At least a year, and probably 2?
Objection. Leading.
Let me withdraw the question. How long after you left your employment at Neverland was it that law enforcement contacted you?
About 2.5 years.
Did you contact them or did they contact you?
They came to me.
At the time they contacted you, did you know whether or not there was an investigation going on involving Mr. Jackson?
Yeah. Yes. I was, kind of.
Were you expecting to be contacted?
Objection. Calls for speculation. Relevance. Foundation.
Goes to her state of mind.
Sustained.
Alright. Did it come as a surprise to you when you were contacted?
Objection. Relevance. Foundation. Leading.
And I'm going to back up a minute and change my ruling on the question. Were you expecting to be contacted? She may answer that, yes, or, no. I'll overrule the last objection.
Did you understand that? You may answer the question, were you expecting to be contacted?
Yes and no.
Did you ultimately give an interview with the sheriff's office?
Yes.
At some point in time were you called to give a deposition? Were you subpoenaed to give a deposition?
I was subpoenaed, yeah.
Alright. Now, do you know who it was who subpoenaed you to give a deposition?
Mr. Feldman.
Was that Larry Feldman?
Yes.
Do you know who Larry Feldman represented at that time?
Yeah. Another little boy.
I'm sorry?
Another little boy.
Do you know that person's name?
The little boy?
Yes, that he represented.
At that time I didn't know. Now I hear.
What do you know the name to be?
Chandler, something like that. But I don't know. I don't know the first name.
Did you know that child, Mr. Chandler?
No.
Mr. You don't know how old he was. You don't know how old he was.
No.
Did you know his first name?
No.
Was this a child you were ever introduced to during the time that you were at Neverland?
No.
And tell us what a deposition is. Having gone through one, what is it?
Objection. Foundation.
Well, let me withdraw that. Did you, in fact, go through a deposition?
Did I went through?
Did you have a deposition? Did they take your deposition?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. And did you, in fact, give testimony in that deposition?
Yes.
Now, I asked you who it was who subpoenaed you, and you said it was Larry Feldman.
Uh-huh.
Were there other lawyers in the room asking you questions as well?
Yes.
Who were the other lawyers? Do you remember any of their names?
I remember Johnny Cochran, and there were about 5 or 6.
About 5 or 6 lawyers.
Yeah.
All in the room at one time?
Yeah.
And was Johnny Cochran asking you questions?
Yes.
Were other lawyers asking you questions as well?
I don't remember, but I think there was one, Weisman, or Wiseman.
Weitzman? Perhaps Howard Weitzman?
I don't remember his last name. I mean.
Do you know on which side Mr. Weitzman was?
With Mr. Cochran.
He was with Mr. Cochran?
They were the two together, yeah.
Who did Mr. Cochran and Mr. Weitzman represent?
Mr. Jackson.
Okay. Was Mr. Jackson present during that deposition?
No.
Was he ever there during the deposition at any time?
No.
Did that deposition go longer than 1 day?
Yeah.
How many days did it go?
2 days.
Do you know how many hours each day you were deposed?
No.
Do you know if there were other lawyers sitting with Mr. Feldman, Larry Feldman, in other words, on his side, other than Mr. Feldman?
No.
Was Mr. Feldman the only one asking you questions from that side?
Yes.
Have you ever reviewed the transcript of that deposition?
No.
Even back then?
Not that I remember.
Do you remember what year it was, of that deposition?
94, I think. Or 95.
Was it before or after you had your first interview with law enforcement? Do you recall?
After.
It was after? Do you remember approximately how long after?
No, I don't remember the date or.
Ms. Francia, when you had this deposition that went on for 2 days, and you say that there were lawyers, a number of them in the room, did you have a lawyer with you?
No.
Had you retained a lawyer at that time?
Not at that time, no.
Did you give answers to questions that were put to you at that time?
Did I answer?
Yes.
Yes.
Did they explain to you that a deposition is the same thing as testifying?
Objection. Leading.
Just a moment.
I'll withdraw the question.
Overruled.
I won't withdraw the question.
You may answer.
Did they explain to you that a deposition was the same thing as testifying?
No.
Did you have to raise your hand to take an oath to tell the truth?
Oh, yeah.
And you did do that?
Yeah.
All right. Did they ask you questions similar to the questions I've asked you so far since you've been on the witness stand?
Nods head up and down.
You have to answer out loud, if you would, please.
Yes.
All right. Did they ask you about Wade Robson?
Yes.
Did they ask you if in fact you had seen them in the shower together?
Yes.
Do you remember the answers that you gave to those questions?
Kind of.
Did you tell one of the attorneys that you did not see Wade Robson in the shower?
Yeah, I probably did.
All right. Was that accurate?
Well, at that time I guess I was tired and nervous, I guess.
Did you tell them that you believed Wade Robson was in the shower?
Yes, I told them that.
Did you tell them about the underwear?
Yeah.
Did you tell them about hearing the voices?
Yes.
Did you tell them about the music?
Yes.
Did you do an interview for hard copy?
Yes.
What is hard copy?
A program.
A program?
Yeah.
A program on what? On television?
On television, yeah.
Was that a program that you had seen before that interview?
No.
Had you ever watched hard copy before?
No.
Did you know, before you were on it, did you know what kind of a program it was?
No.
Did somebody contact you from hard copy?
Yeah.
And do you remember who that was who contacted you?
The lady who interviewed me.
Okay. Do you happen to remember her name?
Yeah.
What was her name?
Diane Diamond.
Diane Diamond. Did you discuss with Miss Diamond what it was she wanted to talk with you about?
Yeah, we kind of talk about it.
Okay. Did you agree to go on television?
Yeah.
Was there some discussion with Miss Diamond about whether or not you would be paid or compensated for appearing on television?
Yeah, my friend and I went together.
You went with a friend?
Yeah.
Who was your friend?
One of the workers at Neverland.
One of the workers at Neverland?
Yeah.
What was her name?
Evangeline.
Evangeline?
Yes.
And what did she do at Neverland?
She was a housekeeper and a cook.
A housekeeper and a cook?
And a cook, yeah. And she helped the cook.
Okay. And you were talking with Diane Diamond with Evangeline?
Yeah.
All right. Why is that? Why was Evangeline there, or Vangie, why she there?
Objection. Foundation.
I'm not sure what you're looking for. Foundation.
And speculation.
Okay.
I'll withdraw that, then. I understand that objection. Did you ask Evangeline to be there with you?
She was the one who contacted, I believe, Diane Diamond.
Did she's the one who introduced you to Diane Diamond?
Yeah, she was the one who told me, that she can get everything arranged.
Okay. That she could arrange the interview?
The interview, yeah.
And payment as well?
Yeah, she say, I'll help you.
What did you understand the interview to be about? What did they want to ask you about?
Objection. Calls for speculation.
Withdraw the question. What was your belief that you were going to be telling them?
Objection. Leading.
About.
Overruled. You may answer.
What was your belief that you would be telling them?
About me working there.
Working where?
At Neverland.
Okay. Did you think they would be asking you questions about Michael Jackson?
No, I mean, not the way they were asking me.
How much money did they represent from hard copy? How much money did they represent that they would give you for an interview?
How much money they gave me?
Yes.
$20,000.
$20,000.
Yes.
And what were you going to do for $20,000? What were you going to say in this interview for $20,000?
Well, I thought that it was going to be just talking about, how it was working for him and how he was.
Did that seem, to you, an unusually large amount of money?
Objection. Leading.
Sustained.
How much money were you making a year at that time?
Less than $20,000.
Less than $20,000?
Yeah, probably around 20.
All right, we'll take our break.